Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Guess what? You're live.
Well, I'm Connie Baxter Marlow,
I'm Andrew Cameron Bailey.
and we have some fun information for you from our life experiences and our time with visionary Native elders through over decades. And we are bringing, our name of our talk is Shifting Frequencies, Indigenous Cosmology Meets Quantum Science. Andrew's the science guy, and Andrew has been bringing the science that backs up this indigenous cosmology, quantum science synthesis that we're bringing here. And my experience with the Native elders came after decades of me asking, what are the missing pieces of the paradigm? That must have been what I came here to ask, because I always sensed that my paradigm was missing information. And so the answers you get depend on the questions you ask. And so I went looking in Europe for the missing pieces, and all I found was the same kind of thinking that I had been raised in. And then various indigenous elders, visionary indigenous elders, started coming into my life to show me these missing pieces of the paradigm. And what I saw through them is a reality that we bring forth through our book, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, because I saw an expanded reality through them and an amazing interdimensional reality that was so different from my reality, but that I totally resonated to. And so at one point, after a decade or so, someone asked me, have you read the book, The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot? And I said, no. 3 people asked me, the third person put it in my hands, and I actually read it. And then I saw that quantum science was describing the reality that Wallace Black Elk and all these various elders were describing and were experiencing, and trying desperately to communicate to a paradigm, a people, a culture that couldn't hear and couldn't see this reality. So that's how I saw that quantum science was going to be the key into our understanding of this reality. And then I just put that on my screen and waited, and then What the Bleep Do We Know came, that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? And I'm like, oh, okay, now it's time. It's because this is a process, this evolutionary process. And I said, okay, now it's time. Well, that was years ago. And since then, Nassim Haramein and Jude Currivan and Unified Physics has been bringing this reality to the forefront. So it's all very exciting, and we're going to be bringing our perspective on all this in this presentation. Andrew, what about you and the indigenous people in quantum science?
Yeah, so I'm an Englishman who was, as a little boy, 3 years old, transplanted to Africa, and I had the extraordinary benefit to my life that informs a lot of my intuition to this day to grow up in Africa, surrounded by monkeys and Zulus and Bushmen of the Kalahari. And however, I didn't engage in this particular realm of human consciousness. Well, I did at age 14, started getting into Buddhism and things like that, but very different and not, shall we say, not indigenous. So I really went a long way down the path of mainstream scientific Western education. All right, I have 3 degrees in science. I am pretty well qualified, and yet there was something missing. And the thing that was missing, and this is a funny little tale I will tell, the thing that was missing was quantum science, quantum physics. What do you mean? You went through all of this physics in college? Yeah. And at no point did I have a professor, I swear, who really, really understood or grokked. Grok means to get it really profoundly, who really, really deeply understood what the implications were and are of quantum science, the stuff that started coming out just about 110 years ago now with Einstein and Niels Bohr and all those guys. So I graduated, I started teaching college, I started teaching chemistry and chemical engineering and mathematics in college. This is in South Africa, in Durban, beautiful tropical port city of Durban. And I decided that, or I realized that what actually really interested me much more than the science was people, human beings, my fellow humans. And so I signed up for a course and did a degree in social anthropology, which is a study of cultures, of living human cultures. And the deeper I got into that, the more I realized I was really interested in their, shall we say, spiritual understanding, how they understood the metaphysics as opposed to the physics. And remember, I was supposed to know something about physics. And as far as quantum physics, wrong. I didn't get it. I never got it. So I'm deep into a study of a course called Comparative Religion. And I'm not interested in Christianity and Buddhism and Judaism and those mainstream religions. I want to know what the connected people, the earth people, the indigenous people, what their religion is. And they don't necessarily have religions per se, it's different. So I'm in this big fat book called A Reader in Comparative Religion. I'm reading, this is anthropology, and I'm studying the Australian Aborigines as interpreted through the vision and writing of an English anthropologist, right? So it's not the direct thing that I could go to Australia right now and sit down with one of these amazing
Uncle Lewis
or one of these aunties and get it direct. I had to get it through the academic channel. However, at one point, I remember that moment, I was probably 21 years old. And I remember having this aha moment. And it was this. What I was reading was a pure poetic explanation of quantum physics through the vision of the Australian Aborigines. So their concept of the dream time, everything happens in the present moment, their vision of the utter, total, permanent interconnectedness of all things is the same thing as quantum entanglement. And the fact that we are engaged in the constant co-creation of everything around us has something to do with the observer effect of quantum science. So yeah, that's my story. And
that's a good one.
And how the indigenous wisdom woke this proto-physicist up because I didn't get it. Then I got it. So now I think I get it.
Yes, so we're going to share our screen and go through a PowerPoint just to illustrate what we've been talking about. So here we go.
What are we doing specifically? We're showing how quantum science and indigenous cosmology can inform any human being on this planet, anyone watching this program right now.
Right.
And really receive a transformative body of information.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You agree with that?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So what our work is it's a synthesis of indigenous cosmology and quantum science, because as we all know, this is an evolutionary upward spiral, and then there's emergent reality coming. And so this is our contribution of our life experiences and perceptions and insights as we've come in contact with this indigenous cosmology and this quantum science. So we're bringing something to the party with our work. And
let me say something. Go back, please.
Yes, my darling.
The image at the bottom there. Some of you, most of you probably do know that figure of the flute playing hunchback, Coco Pelli. It's important because a lot of people, if you're in some other country, even Americans don't know that symbol, okay?
We just have 45 minutes, so we got to keep moving.
I'm not going to rush it, darling. I'd rather get one point communicated.
Okay, let's do it.
I just want to say the new math Kokopelli equals MC squared. Puts a smile on people's faces, but it's really serious. It means indigenous cosmology, indigenous wisdom on the one side, the whole of science, of Western science on the other, and putting them in perfect balance.
And synthesis. And here we've got a new equation. Albert Einstein came up with an equation, and we have a new equation. Quantum reality, QR plus IC equals CLU. Quantum reality plus indigenous cosmology equals the conscious, loving universe.
That's what I just said.
Yes, what you just said.
Different words.
Exactly. So our work is the trust frequency, 10 assumptions for a new paradigm. We have a book on that subject that we brought out in 2012 that's just now coming into the consciousness of what we're bringing to the party. And we also have a new ebook called The Conscious Loving Universe, a guidebook.
And it's free right now. We've just released it.
Yeah.
What did we release it on? Oh,
Saturday Night Alive.
The other evening, right?
And we have a course called The Dance of Souls, the Relationship Revolution, which applies the trust frequency principles to relationships with ourselves and others and the universe. So that can all be accessed on our trustfrequency.net website. And so here it goes. And what we're saying is that quantum science and unified physics illuminate and inform the Western paradigm, and they expand our understanding of the nature of the universe, which allows us to finally align with the indigenous worldview, to open our hearts and minds to an expanded reality, to the sacredness and oneness of all life. So what is going on? So we're calling for, and we're seeing now, a new intercultural synthesis between the indigenous peoples and the rest of humanity because of the climate crisis. It's brought us to say, hey, they know a lot about the earth, about the whole universe, and how are we going to get in balance with it, because obviously what we're doing isn't working. So a lot of our work has to do with the three syntheses, well, the two syntheses that have happened already in the founding of the United States. And one of them is in Plymouth, Massachusetts, with the first 54 years of peace and friendship with the Wampanoag Indians that we're saying gave birth to the American mind and spirit and democracy. And the Iroquois Great Law came into the Constitution, and that's the second great synthesis that's already occurred when we've come into our hearts and we've melded and come together. We've created something so important.
50 years later, in what was it, 1787, the Constitutional Convention?
Yeah.
The Iroquois were involved in that. Not every American knows that, and made a major contribution to our Constitution.
Yeah, and very few people know that the Plymouth, that there was 54 years of peace and friendship in Plymouth. So these are two very important syntheses that have already occurred. And now we're looking at the third great synthesis now as we're coming together.
So here's a statement or a prophecy from the Hopi. When birds fall from the sky and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come unto the earth from many colors, classes, and creeds, who by their actions and deeds shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow. That's us, friends.
That's us, kids. And ultimately, we're giving birth to Humanity 2.0.
And many of you knew Barbara Marx Hubbard, who talked about Homo Universalis. Same thing, the next evolutionary step for our species. It's time to wake up and grow up and become our true potential.
Which is what's up. And
all right, so what do we mean? Homo Universalis, Humanity 2.0, next iteration of humanity. Well, this is what it looks like. The fully evolved human manifests the best features of all previous cultures. We are part of nature, not above it, aware of the scientific perspective, yet not ruled by it, tuned into a higher reality, yet fully present in the world. A synthesis occurs, which brings forth something that has never been on the planet before. It is an evolutionary leap for our species.
Yes, and so this new science, there's even a science that's come forth after quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and that's a new science now called unified physics, or Dr. Jude Currivan is actually calling it the science of love. And we'd like to play her, just so you can hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And Jude is a planetary healer, a cosmologist, a futurist, an author, a businesswoman, an archaeologist, and a physicist. So her life experiences and interests and her revelatory experiences inform her worldview and what she's bringing, which is just so important in our world.
This is why I feel this is such an incredibly important time, because this convergence of science and spiritual.
Oh, shit. What did I do?
You muted it.
So this is the cosmology of consciousness. This is literally a science of love.
I'm going to start it again.
This is why I feel this is such an incredibly important time, because this convergence of science and spirituality actually includes and transcends both. So this is a cosmology of consciousness. This is literally a science of love. This is holding us in a unifying framework where everything in existence matters, where everything in existence has meaning and purpose, and we are the agents. We are the heads and hearts and hands of its evolutionary impulse.
Yay, Jude. And here we have Wallace Black Elk, a Lakota elder who came into my life for decades, saying essentially the same thing in the 1990s.
Today, we are honored to have with us Wallace Black Elk.
To our relations, and I thank you to each and everyone here on the television world. And it's about time we all come to focus our mind universally, because I speak from the universe of minds. And the way we're born with love, kindness, generosity, and giving. So we're born with love. So the love in itself is God, and love is mother. So mother is love, and God is love, and so on. So I think this is the way we should teach our children.
So there you have it. So what we want to bring forth out of the quantum reality is two aspects.
So the first one is quantum entanglement, and I propose that the indigenous peoples of the world, those who are still in touch with the spirit of Gaia or Mother Earth, and the ancient Vedic rishis, the elders, the wisdom keepers 5,000 and 6,000 years ago in present-day India, knew this as it was just a fundamental assumption on their parts. And we are now learning it a whole other way through quantum science. So the first thing that's relevant to humans and to human evolution, or the human experience, is the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. And in a nutshell, that simply means that everything in the universe is permanently connected to every other thing in real time, where that means way, way, way beyond the speed of light. It is a single living, evolving entity, the universe, and it is entangled. In other words, everything is interconnected.
Yeah, so there's also the observer effect, which is a part of the quantum understanding.
which is one of the weirdest discoveries of quantum science. The apparent fact that nothing exists until it is observed. Whoa, what's up with that? You mean you close your eyes and the universe goes away? In a certain sense, yes. There's a wonderful thing of Einstein. It's called Einstein's mouse. Einstein says, if a mouse observes the universe, does that mean the universe comes into being? And the answer is yes. That's weird. I agree. So, point is that we not only are interconnected, but our ability to perceive and observe reality means that we are co-creators with reality. We are literally co-creating reality with the power of our consciousness, which is how we observe things.
So it all relates the macrocosm to the microcosm.
At all scales.
In all
this
scales.
applies everywhere, from the tiniest thing in the universe to the largest thing, which is the universe.
And many scientists are coming to recognize the conscious universe. And now, in these times, with Jude Currivan saying, yes, it's a loving universe. It is the science of love. And so we want to come into the indigenous worldview now. We're moving right along because we don't have our full hour. And so the indigenous worldview that this quantum reality allows us to align with, once we make the choice to do that and we really grok this quantum reality, this unified physics, this unified reality, this connected universe that Nassim Haramein is bringing forth, and that Jude Currivan and others in those realms, then we can, and we will, because we'll just get it. We'll just drop those outdated assumptions. And that's what our book is about, is our book brings new assumptions for a new paradigm. It's those core assumptions about the nature of the universe that have us out of balance. And once we really grok that science is proving now, we can let go of that outdated worldview, and we can come into the indigenous worldview that has a respect and reverence for all of life, foundational. And from that brings a whole new world. The interrelatedness of all things and actions. We get that. We get that everything is related, that everything is in relationship. It's not just isolated. Wallace Black Elk once said to me, yes, well, the scientific paradigm took the bee apart, the little bumblebee, and couldn't remember how to put it back together. So that's, we've taken things into their parts. And then the co-creative power of thought. Wallace always said that our thoughts go all the way around the universe. So every thought affects everything else. A concern for future aspects of present action. And as everyone knows, Indigenous Cosmology, the next 7 generations is what they have in mind when they have an action. How is it going to affect the next 7 generations? Living in balance, concern for the common good, trust in a higher power. Their cosmology is a creator-based cosmology. They go out on the hill and cry for a dream, and when that dream comes, when that information comes, that's what guides the person and the entire tribe, because the creator has spoken, through this human vehicle. And the incorporation of the metaphysical into physical reality. So that's exactly what is happening with this understanding of this bigger interconnectedness beyond what we can see and touch and feel, that there's something then bigger. And the equality of all aspects of life, that not one thing has any dominion over another, that everything is equal, all our relations, that the plants are our brothers and sisters, the trees, the sky, the moon, the cosmos, the earth, and everyone else, all the humans as well. And the whole sharing piece. And all my experiences with the Native people, the giveaway is key. If someone likes my necklace and they say, hey, I like your necklace, then I know that it's their turn to have that necklace. So there's a responsibility on everyone's side to know that this is coming from the Creator, that this is divine, and that if it's your turn, then you are welcome to my necklace. So it's a whole different paradigm around possessions, that we don't really own anything. We don't own the land. We don't own anything, because we're a caretaker of it, and then we pass it on. So it's a whole new reality that's coming as this third synthesis comes to pass. And then there's the cooperation instead of competition, because in this reality, we go into a higher frequency where there's more abundance than we can fathom. In the Native way, they know there's going to be more tomorrow, so you can give it away today. Okay, so that's a whole frequency, and we're talking about frequencies here, shifting frequencies.
And that's specifically the trust
It's
frequency.
the trust frequency, what we've called the trust frequency, and we're bringing in our book the trust frequency. So here is just a quote from Oren Lyons.
So this is titled A Natural Democracy, and it's from Oren Lyons, the beautiful Onondaga elder in upstate New York. In our Iroquois perception, all life is equal, and that includes the birds, animals, things that grow, things that swim. All life is equal in our perception.
So here we go with the Bushmen of the Kalahari, who are going to be here in this room on Wednesday through our friends Itzhak and Lydia Kreuper. And Andrew's known the Bushmen for many decades.
Yeah, just a quick aside. One of the very first things I did when I first met this young lady, Connie, back in 2003, is we went to the Kalahari and introduced her to these extraordinary people who are the first people of Africa. They go back possibly hundreds of thousands of years.
And we open our film In Search of the Future, which is available here in the Global Center, as well as an on-demand. And it opens in the Kalahari with these beautiful,
And the
beautiful
film is free,
people.
right?
Oh yeah.
And the film's free.
You're kidding?
I mean,
Of
our
course.
ebook's free. I mean, come on, this is called freedom,
This
friends.
is a giveaway.
So this will just give you a little tidbit of what it means to be a Bushman.
And you can experience them on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific in this room.
Oh man, that's wonderful. Yeah. Open your heart to others. When you do so, you will feel our spirit. It will make you dance, and it will make you happy. And then you too will be a Bushman.
Yes, and that's what I felt like when I was there. I've never been so loved on in my life as I was by those beautiful people. So we're talking about a loving universe. Nobody's talking about the loving universe. They talk about the conscious universe,
The living
the
universe.
living universe, but not the loving universe. So that's what we've been bringing over this decade, is the conscious loving universe.
That's the title of our new ebook.
And we're
The Conscious Loving Universe.
Yes, and we're so happy that Jude Curran and others are starting to put the science. It's pretty hard to put science behind love, but if you extrapolate into the fact that many say God is love, God is everything, then everything has to be love. And if you take it as absolutely true, it flips everything, and we get out of duality and we get into that space, that field that Rumi talked about, beyond right doing and wrong doing, where amazing things happen. So that's what we're taking people to with our work and our book, The Trust Frequency.
You could almost say we fall in love, except we don't. We rise in love because we go up in consciousness when we open our hearts and the love emerges from us and comes into us.
And what we have to understand is how loved we are by a loving universe, that even war, even abuse, even all those horrible things we see as not love, they have to be love. And we give a construct that makes that make sense. So moving on.
That's a very challenging thing to say, but it's true, yeah. So back to the science. Every scientist would agree right now in this year of 2020 that everything is vibration. The entire universe consists of vibration. And we create reality. We are actually the creators or the co-creators, and we could say we are the creator, because in fact, separation is an illusion. So the fact is that we are profoundly interconnected with the creative power of the universe. But here's the really, really important thing, and this was my takeaway from that film Connie mentioned earlier. What the bleep do we know? We create reality through the power of our consciousness. It is our thoughts, and by us, I mean every sentient being in the universe, right? Not me. I'm not changing everything just by having a different thought, but our consciousness, our collective consciousness, and our individual consciousness creates the reality we experience.
So we have these 7 A's of consciousness that create our reality, 7 aspects of consciousness that we've come up with that create our reality. And this is a little toolkit for people to know that they can check these 7 A's any time of the day or night to see where their 7 A's are, because these 7 A's determine our frequency. They determine our vibratory level and therefore our frequency. And the different frequencies have different laws. And so therefore, depending on what we're vibrating at, we are in a different frequency where different laws apply to us. And we'll go into that as we unfold there. But here is the 7 A's of consciousness in one sentence. With expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude, consciously direct our attention, there's that observer effect, align with our highest inner promptings or intuition, take committed action, and allow the loving univerose to manifest beyond our wildest dreams.
How's that for a reality? That's where we live, friends.
Yeah, because we enter another frequency where the laws are expanded. And I say there's more beauty, balance, joy, and abundance than we can fathom, because we're used to this lower frequency reality, and we can't even barely get out of that box. And Indigenous Cosmology and quantum science and unified physics are getting us out of that box. Thank goodness. So we can give birth to our true nature and act in according to our true nature and the true nature of the universe. So here's a little quote at the end of the book Walden by Henry David Thoreau. He says, at least, he says, I learned this, at least, by my experiment, his 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days at Walden Pond. And he was a mystic himself. So we've done a lot of work with Henry David Thoreau and his interest in the Native Americans. And he wanted to see, because he could see what they could see, and he wanted to find out who they were, what they knew, and he became one of the top ethnologists of his time. And this is a little known by anyone, but we've done a lot of work with that, with the Thoreau Society. Anyway, he says, I learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one walks confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. He will put some things behind, will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within him, or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with the license of a higher order of beings. And there's another quote that's so important in this understanding. And that is a quote that's attributed to Goethe, but it's actually a Scottish mountaineer, W.H. Murray, who said it.
Although the last little bit is indeed from Goethe. So Murray expanded on this. So until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way.
So it's just what we see here is that we see a reality unexpected in common hours, with events that which no man could have dreamed would have come his way.
No woman either, maybe.
No woman
Okay.
either. So we need to keep moving here.
We are.
So here
I'll
is,
keep moving.
we'll keep moving, but here's Wallace Black Elk, and again, talking about trust.
So, grandfather, it is the doubt that has created the reality that we live in now, and it has we're unable to understand other realities that and the knowings that you have about the real nature of the universe. It's this doubt that has been the problem from the beginning.
Yes, it was told that pollution begins in the mind. For having a doubt against a creator, so first, second, or third, that doubt will visit you. So we're in the third generation, and so we could see that doubt is here. So that doubt goes around in the universe of mind. Then what it does, it casts shadow of fear. So everything turned wild.
Because we have choice, is it too late to change the course?
No, we got one more to go yet. Remember, 4 times. And the 4th time, I'm going to come back and I'm going to check up on you guys. So we got a little ways to go yet. So we already passed 3 and we got 1 more to go. So we still have a little time left. So that's why we're here. We're going to take every split second and to tell each other that we should all come back together. We still have that chance. So we have to come back and try to understand the fire, the rock, the water, and green. Then once we all understand, it has to be unanimous. Now we're going to escape from our own self-destruction. So the whole world will turn green again, and we could live here forever. We have to stop abusing. Then for doing so, they say if we put that fire back, they say as soon as you touch the earth, there'll be a flash of light and canopy the whole universe, and all the sickness that are incurable will be destroyed, not people. And even our dead will resurrect from death. So it'll be total victory. So it is possible that we could regain what we lost. This is the way we were told. Every step you take is a prayer. You have to live with it, walk with it. Not just say, a bunch of Hail Marys and walk across the street and back to beer joints and play golf and win a roast marshmallow. It's not that you have to live, walk with it. Your life.
Yeah.
You have to walk because Tagasta is watching you. And with this power, that will is in you. That Chanimpa is you.
So there you have it, straight from our beloved Wallace Black Elk. So it's a conscious, loving universe. We got to keep moving here. And here's Dean Radin with a quote. He's a scientist. I'm going to just jump over this at this point, just because we got to keep going. So it's time to release the love and walk into our true nature. And in this trust frequency that we are bringing forth, that we feel the way showers have shown us the way to this higher frequency. Jesus with all his miracles, they aren't miracles. They're just how the natural order of being in this higher frequency. And John Lennon describes it in Imagine so beautifully. And so many other way showers, the Vedic knowing people and everything. So here in the trust frequency, trust replaces fear, ease replaces struggle, generosity replaces hoarding, abundance replaces scarcity, unity replaces separation, new systems develop, new relationships replace outmoded ways of being. An understanding of the interconnectedness and sacredness of all things emerges. It is in this way that true peace and profound freedom will come to prevail on earth. Don't we feel like that's what's going on right now with this pandemic? So, Andrew, do you want to talk about?
Would you like me to read that?
Well, yeah.
All right. So how do we shift frequencies? And remind me at the end to say, we can sum it up in 4 words. All of these words we've been sharing here is 4 words. Let's not forget that. So firstly, everything is vibration and or frequency, depending on which way we look at it. Another way of saying that is we are conscious, electromagnetic, loving beings in a conscious, electromagnetic, loving, abundant universe. That's a mouthful, but that's the scientific statement behind this work of ours. We can choose our frequency, and therefore we can choose our reality. It's not imposed on us. The laws are different in the different frequencies. That's an interesting one. We've got some good scientific backup for that. And that sentence that Connie read a little while ago, the 7 A's of consciousness, people don't understand what consciousness is, but there are 7 words in the English language that coincidentally begin with the letter A that actually are our requests, as Connie likes to call them, to the universe. And they determine our frequency, and thereby they determine our reality.
Yes, because we say it's a conscious, loving universe. And what are our requests to that conscious, loving universe that loves us so much? And we're saying it's those
and our beliefs and whatever's going through our mind. Actually, the universe is totally connected and listening, paying 100% attention 24/7.
It has to give us what we ask for. We just need to know what our requests are. And if they're aligned with our highest inner journey, to our journey to wholeness, because if we're asking for stuff that we think we want because society says, yeah, you want it so you can be successful, you can be loved, you can be accepted. Well, guess what? The universe says, hold on. You told me when you incarnated, this is our Dance of Souls course. We go into this in our Dance of Souls. You told me when you incarnated to take you on your journey to wholeness, to self-love and self-acceptance and alignment with your divinity and your deep purpose. So what do you mean you want to do this, this, and this? Because this is going to take you to that, what you asked for. And so we say circumstance loves us more than we do. And we're going to be giving a talk in the other room, in the Global Fire Room, on the specifics of the trust frequency paradigm. So tune into that if you're interested in more specifics, because we're not going there in this talk. So here we have.
So the Australian Aborigines, some of the oldest humans, their genetics go way, way, way back into the mists of time. And here's a part of, you remember I was speaking of them earlier on the subject of quantum physics. This is how the Aborigines express it. We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose here is to observe, to learn, to grow, to love, and then to return home.
So, and we've had Uncle Lewis here in the Global Center for Indigenous Wisdom here.
Yeah.
So we're so lucky that Janice Hall has brought Uncle Lewis into this forum, and
Yeah,
now
thanks,
we're
Janice.
bringing the Bushmen into the forum. So here we have the oldest peoples coming forth through this technology to bring us all together in this higher frequency that they've been holding for all of us. And all the Native Americans and all the indigenous peoples of the world have something so special to bring to us from their heart, from their spirit. And this is such a time of this coming forth. I've been expecting it for 30 years, and it's just so great to have it go into this place now where they're coming forth with such power together.
And don't forget the rainbow warriors who are us.
Yeah, all of us.
So we are all one, we are all connected. And I did promise you 4 words. If you have one takeaway from this little talk here, it is this, try this: trust the loving universe.
Yeah.
Anytime you're feeling uncertain, anytime you're feeling down, anytime fear or anxiety is getting to you, it's like a little mantra. Trust the loving universe. It takes practice for many of us, but tell you what, it changes everything when we can truly trust the loving universe.
And here's this
Thank you.
beautiful little thing. Isn't that gorgeous? We
That's
are all one. We are all
enormous.
connected.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop sharing and
Here
just
we are.
say
Well, we were
hi
here
to
the whole
everyone.
time.
Huh?
We were here the whole time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we just want to say, as Andrew said, trust the loving universe. And we say, trust the loving, abundant universe. Once we get to understand how abundant this universe is, beyond anything we can fathom, then there's nothing more to fight over, because everybody has everything they need, want, desire, and more than they can fathom. And we get that we are one. So war, we lay down the weapons of war because it's absurd to be killing ourselves. It's just going to become an absurdity, war. And there's no more power and control over others because there's so much abundance that it doesn't matter how much you've got, because everybody else has got everything they need and more than they can fathom. And it's another ball game. It's another dimension. It's another rules of the game. So it's not about possessions and material things. We're going into a reality where, from my understanding, we create with our minds. So anything we want, we can have because we create it with our minds, and we don't need resources to do it. So it doesn't matter what anybody has or wants or whatever. So anyway, that's just speculating on a world to come as we open our hearts and move into a higher frequency.
So thank you, friends. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes, what a treat to be with you all, and we look forward to more.